Jason Roberts' informative speech, February 3rd. Alright. The communication that we know nowadays is actually changing for the younger generations. They no longer communicate face to face like I used to when I was younger. We didn't have cell phones and we didn't have the internet. So a lot of these have been brought to the cyber world, which includes abuse that kids are receiving verbally at school or through what we used to do as written communication, and is now over text messages. And it's been a problem that actually is needed to be addressed by not only schools, but even all the way up to the U.S. government has addressed this in certain ways. So what is cyberbullying? It's a willful, repeated act on a adolescent or a teenager where they've been threatened, harassed, or embarrassed, or even stalked. And a lot of this happens through chat rooms on the internet or social networking, so your Facebook and your Twitter is also included. A lot of kids have to deal with stuff they hear from their peers at school when they get home on their social networking. And they also, when it comes to communication between other kids, there's a lot of passing down the line, as there was when I was younger, where kids talk to other kids and then they all have cell phones, so they text each other, and which eventually turns into a fight over the text messaging, where they can actually receive abuse or threats from other people saying they're going to get beat up, or they're going to meet them somewhere or do something to their dog or their family. Well, half of these teens and adolescents actually don't tell anyone that they've been abused online because they're afraid that someone's going to say something. They might actually get face-to-face verbal abuse from even their friends for calling someone out on actually abusing them on the internet. It's embarrassing to most of these kids. And a lot of these kids are going through enough emotional highs and lows at this point in their life where it's already hard enough for them to deal with what they deal with face-to-face and going to school, and a lot of responsibilities kind of becoming on their life and a lot of decisions they have to make. And so dealing with this cyber abuse actually sets them into low self-esteem, even low grades. People miss school, and in some severe cases people have actually committed suicide because of abuse that they've received online. There's a few examples. One that stuck out to me was a story from a girl named Phoebe Prince, and she's a 15-year-old and she's from Ireland. Well, she moved to the United States down by Boston, Massachusetts, so a pretty well-known story. She had a relationship issue at school which turned into verbal confrontation, as they said, and she ended up going home and receiving text messages that she felt were abusive and posting something on her social networking and other people posting back, and what turned into her actually committing suicide. And when it was investigated by the police, they actually believe it was from the abuse that she received in social networking, which at the time was not very common of a thing to happen. A lot of the studies that I've found, I have a few graphs here. Most of my information came from Cyberbullying Research Center, which you can find on the internet. One here is showing what people have been victimized by, and at the end here it just shows one or more times that they've been victimized. Over here you kind of see a 20.8% on they have been cyberbullied at one point in time or another in their lifetime. I'll pass that around. I also have a number of internet users. I wanted to kind of show a comparison here, and they show, and this is among internet users in millions from teenagers in the United States, and which is actually about 28%, which in comparison, a lot of these teens don't tell people they've been abused, but in surveys they show here, it goes by grade, how many kids said that they had been abused, which on the internet they had, as you see, it kind of grows, and when they get about to the middle school age, 8th grade, about 25% feel that they've been abused. Well, only about half don't say that it happened, and 17% of the kids actually tell someone else that they've been abused and feel like it helped them. So, of the small percentage of people that did tell someone else that they had been abused, only a small percentage of those actually felt like it helped telling someone else they had been abused. They felt like they were scarred more than could be helped by someone else talking to them. This also can roll into people's relationship lives. So there's a lot of relationships going on when you're a teenager, and if you all have cell phones, it seems much easier for someone, rather than yell at someone face to face, like we'd have to deal with verbal, facial confrontation, to send something very threatening and mean over a text message, because you never have to see that person's face, and you don't know what kind of thoughts they're going through. There's not going to be an argument back and forth. You feel like more free to say whatever you want to say on there. It could be very mean, and you don't feel bad about it because you don't have to look the person in the eyes and deal with the consequences right there and then. There's a few things that we're doing about this, which the government actually opened up a website called stopbullying.gov, and it's based towards all types of bullying, and that includes face-to-face, but it has specific focus on a lot of cyberbullying because of the suicides increasing in children and a lot of problems being caused through this. The schools, many schools are doing anti-bullying policies where if a child bullies another kid and it happens to be found out by the faculty, they do whatever's in their means to stop it, and including expelling kids and suspending them from school, even down to detentions. I mean, they do a lot of work with it. They also do seminars with the kids where they bring in people to talk to them about how the effects emotionally and physically on other kids with them abusing and then being abused, what you can do to kind of help your self-esteem stay high, to help the kids that have been abused and have been dealing with this for a long period of time. Also on websites, they have all pretty much included where you can report abuse, and this includes even if you're playing down to an online video game and someone says something abusive, you can report that abuse to them, and that person can be dealt with by the proper people that need to deal with it. So with all this new technology comes a whole new set of problems which need to be dealt with. Children and teens now not only need to worry about being abused at school physically and mentally and verbally, but they have to deal with it at home with their cell phones and their social networking. So it is important, as parents and children alike need to stay informed about what they need to do about this abuse, what they can do, and if they are abused, what steps to take to help them through the process and to deal with their bully per se. So knowledge and understanding may actually help reduce this abuse and possibly even prevent suicide in the future with a lot of these kids.